Okay, so today I want to talk about something that has been on my mind a lot, and I think probably also on a lot of your guys' minds as well, and that is breath. So I think sort of the first, mainstream media blast we had about breath was COVID-19, right? And what it does to your respiratory system and the potential seriousness for those who have pre-existing respiratory issues should they contract the virus, right? So then, as we sort of lived with COVID-19 for a little while, we've had our essential workers, who most of them, right, have been wearing masks, which hugely is impactful for the breath. And then, of course, most recently, the tragic and really horrific death of George Floyd, and him saying, "I can't breathe." So let's talk about breath. It's really important. It's the first thing we do when we enter this world, right? We have our very first breath, and it signals the end of our life as well, right? Our final breath, our final words, all of these things. And it really colors everything that happens in between. So it's important, right? But aside from those who have pre-existing breathing conditions, we don't tend to think about the breath very often, unless there's a problem, right? Unless maybe the wind is knocked out of us, or we're exercising, or we go to the doctor and they say, take a deep breath, right? Those are sort of some of the only times that we tend to consciously think about our breathing and what's happening there. So it's no surprise that most of us actually have very little idea of what is actually happening with our breath and how breathing works. So I'll give you a quick rundown anatomically. So we have our rib cage, of course, and in between our ribs we have intercostal muscles. So these contract on our inhale, which expands our rib cage upwards and outwards. And then our diaphragm, which sits just below our lungs, descends, and that pushes on sort of our viscera. That's why when we inhale, we should sort of have a little bit of expansion throughout our like lower abdomen area, because the diaphragm is sort of just pushing things out of the way a little bit to make some more room for our lungs. So then as the space that the lungs occupy increases, it creates a partial vacuum, okay? And so the atmosphere needs to balance out this pressure, and that is when air enters the lungs, okay? So breathing is an automatic function. You may be thinking, why are we talking about this? How can I even impact it? It's something that's gonna happen regardless of what I'm doing, so like what's the point? And like many automatic functions, they work best when we are not interfering, okay? So it just so happens that most of the time our habits are sort of layers of tension which directly impact the freedom and ease of our breath. So we'll do a short exercise to sort of explore this. So what I want you to do is imagine that you are stuck in traffic, right? There's a car accident, you are in the car, you are on your way to an extremely important appointment or birthday party or something that's really important to you, right? And you're stuck and you're not going to be there, you're already late, and you're going to be even later, if not miss it entirely, okay? So usually when we have these kinds of stressful situations, there's a tenseness and an anxiety that accompany them, right? So notice now that we're imagining this, but are you holding your breath? Are you tensing your shoulders, your abdomen, or your neck? Or is something else going on? Like, what do you notice about yourself? My guess is that you're probably not the freest that you've ever been. So this really means that the way that we think and how we feel directly impact our breath. So in every moment, with every habit, every emotion, every stress, we change what is possible to us for our breath, okay? But this also is great because if we can negatively impact our breath, that means if we change our thinking, we can also positively impact our breath, find greater freedom, greater ease, and availability of our breath for us. So now that we've sort of found this place where our breath is a little bit compromised, let's explore sort of undoing this, the opposite. We're going to find some freedom in breath. So what I'd like you to do for this exercise is to breathe out. I think oftentimes when we are talking about breathing exercises, it's sort of like a deep inhale. But I sort of want to turn that on its head because the inhale should really be born out of a desire and a need for breath, right? So what we're going to do is place our hands on our rib cage, okay? And we are going to exhale, right? We're going to have an out breath here. So we should notice that as we are exhaling, our rib cage is moving sort of in and up a tiny bit, or in and down a little bit here. Right, yes. So now with our out breath complete, right, what we're going to do is stop, okay? We are not going to take an in-breath. We are going to stay completely exhaled of all of our oxygen, okay? And as you're in this place, I want you to notice the tension and effort involved in sort of keeping the breath out, okay? And then when you're ready, all you have to do is let go of that tension to have an inhale, right? So as you are ready and you inhale, you will notice that your rib cage is going to expand up and out. So what we learned from this exercise is that when you add tension and extra effort to the system, it's only going to interfere with the breath. So if we take this into our daily lives, see if you're able to notice moments where you are stressed or fatigued, and see if you're able to use this exercise to take some of that tension and shake it off and find a breath that's a little bit freer. It doesn't have to be every time. It doesn't have to be a constant thought, right? We're just going to sort of reawaken what the body already knows how to do when we stop interfering with it, okay? So I just watched a live stream that sort of reminded me a little bit of this. So it was an Alexander Technique teacher. Her name was Molly Kittle. And she talked about something that I think is really important. And that is that the body already holds the knowledge and information on how to function. We just need to allow ourselves to access it. So with breath, this knowledge can only be found by letting go.